Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to unpack complex stuff and really get to what's essential, surprising, and hopefully useful for you. So, if you've ever grappled with qualitative data, those mountains of interview transcripts or focus group notes, you've probably felt that challenge. How do you find the real gems without just getting lost? Today, we're diving into how generative AI, GenAI, and specifically these large language models, or LLMs, are, well, radically changing the game for qualitative consumer insights. The promise is making it faster, cheaper, and actually more strategically useful than it's ever been. Our source material for this comes from some really interesting videos and articles by Insight Lab AI. They've got a compelling take on this whole new landscape. And our mission today, it's basically to figure out where Gen AI can genuinely take over from humans in qual research, where you absolutely still need that human touch, and maybe the most fascinating bit, what can Gen AI do now that we couldn't even imagine before?
Yeah, and that mission's really key because, look, for the longest time, qualitative insight was, you could almost say, the Cinderella of market research.
Mm.
It often got pushed aside by, the big numbers from quantitative research, or more recently, all the hype around big data analytics. The feeling was, it's expensive, it takes ages, and sometimes it felt a bit murky, right? No hard numbers, so maybe no facts.
Hmm.
And that perception, that was a real competitive disadvantage. It's exactly that problem Gen AI is starting to tackle head on.
Okay, so let's unpack that. How exactly does Gen AI start chipping away at those old pain points, the speed, the cost? I mean, when I picture someone reviewing just piles and piles of transcripts, my brain just shuts down. Is that the kind of headache Gen AI is really curing?
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Gen AI already gave us some early wins, speeding up things like just transcribing audio from interviews or groups,
Hmm.
turning hours of talk into text like, bam, minutes. But you're spot on. The real bottleneck, the analysis headache you mentioned, was always the reporting, the interpretation, actually making sense of all those transcripts. It's incredibly time-consuming, and that time translates directly into cost. It's a major factor.
So Gen AI stepped in there beyond just the transcription part for the
Yeah,
actual processing.
precisely. That's where it became a real game changer.
Hmm.
Tools using LLMs, think ChatGPT, Gemini, Mistral, they're actually quite good at summarizing consumer conversations. And they can handle scale. We're talking large numbers of transcripts.
Yeah.
Data that might represent 500,000 words, a million, even 2 million words. Yeah, this is data from a lot of focus groups.
Yeah.
Many in-depth interviews all pooled together. Now, what's interesting is that your standard off-the-shelf LLM approach isn't always perfect for this kind of specific quality data across loads of transcripts. So, um, specialized procedures have been developed, better optimized algorithms, and the initial results. When they compared automated analysis to reports compiled the old way, by hand, the output was, well, quite complete, totally adequate, and critically, if you prompt it right, no hallucination.
Okay, that's crucial.
Definitely. Like, there was this health insurance project, right? 20 in-depth interviews done in Swiss, German, and French. They compared the automated report to the manual one. And guess what?
100% coverage on
Yeah.
all the key topics, needs, barriers, what features people expected.
100%.
100%. That kind of absolute completeness, that was a massive benefit right there.
That cross-language capability sounds huge, too. I mean, finding researchers fluent and analytical in multiple languages must be tough. Exactly. Being able to just feed in German and French transcripts and get out, say, an English or German report seamlessly, that solves a major headache. Manual analysis struggles with that because finding those truly bilingual researchers who also get the analysis nuances is, well, it's rare and expensive.
Makes sense.
And it's not just summarizing. The LLMs are also pretty good at figuring out the relative importance, weighting different needs or barriers people mention. They can create quite nice management summaries from that. Plus, they can pull out verbatim quotes.
Ah, the holy grail of qual reporting. How accurate is that?
It's getting there. Right now, it's about 90% correct.
Okay, 90%. What's the catch with the other 10%?
Well, it's a subtle thing. Sometimes the LLM tries to be helpful and sort of optimizes the wording to make it flow better or read more nicely.
Which isn't strictly verbatim.
Exactly. It's not the exact words the person used. But work is ongoing. Like, they're implementing things like retrieval augmented generation, ARG models.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah, think of it like making the AI smarter at finding and copying the exact text string from the source. No more tweaking.
Got it. So accuracy is improving.
Right. But the big payoff, the bottom line from all this automation, it's saving something like 60% to 70% of the time usually spent manually grinding through transcripts.
60 to 70%. That's huge.
It is. And that means significant cost savings, obviously. But it also frees up researchers. They can take that saved time and invest it in, preparing better recommendations, deeper insights, thinking strategically.
So it sounds like a lot of the, let's say, tedious grunt work is being handled, which naturally leads to the question.
Where do humans still fit in?
Yeah.
If GenAI can do all this summarizing, quoting, even weighting, what's left for the researcher? And this is really important. GenAI is an amazing research assistant, a powerful one, but it absolutely cannot be the senior researcher.
Okay, why not? What's the fundamental limit?
The key limitation is, well, it just doesn't see the full picture. It might give you a summary that's complete, factually correct based on the transcripts, but it doesn't provide a concise answer to the initial strategic question while considering, say, the company's business model or the brand's specific positioning or the messy complexity of a particular local market.
Ah, the context, the so what.
Exactly. That's where you still need a senior researcher or a senior consultant, someone with deep domain expertise. They're essential to bring the findings to the point, to actually answer the client's core strategic questions. You need that human oversight on the quality of the whole process and especially the final output and recommendations.
So it's less about replacement and more about elevation, shifting the researcher from digging through data to synthesizing strategy.
That's a great way to put it. They move from data sifting to strategic synthesis. The value shifts upwards.
Okay, that makes sense for optimizing existing processes. But you mentioned something even more exciting. Things GenAI enables that just weren't possible before.
Yes. This is where it gets really interesting, I think. GenAI can push qualitative insight beyond just being these, static reports that sit on a shelf.
How so?
It can actually integrate qualitative consumer insights directly into the day-to-day work of marketers, product innovation teams, communication folks, advertisers.
Okay.
The biggest game changer, the most important one, is this idea of letting end users, the decision makers, directly interact with the consumer's voice, with the raw qualitative data itself.
Interact how? Like chat with the
It's
transcript.
kind of, yeah. It's like having the consumer insights right there on their computer, ready for them to ask questions whenever they need to. We call it the prompt your data approach.
Prompt your data. I like that. But hang on, how does that work without the LLM just giving generic answers based on its huge training data? Isn't it just like a fancy Google search?
That's a really common misconception, and it's vital to get this right. LLMs shouldn't be seen as just a sort of modern Google that knows everything. Think of them more as incredibly powerful data processing and data analysis engines. Yes, they're trained on vast amounts of data. One model might have, 1.76 trillion parameters? But that knowledge of the world is still a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of everything on the web. Like 9 times 10 to the power of minus 9%. It's minuscule.
Right, okay. Not an oracle.
Definitely not. Their real power for insights comes when you feed them specific domain data, like transcripts of what people really think about health insurance providers in Switzerland, for example. The LLM then helps you process and interpret that specific data to create insights tailored precisely to that specific problem.
Ah, so it's not about the LLM's general knowledge. It's about its ability to understand and structure the specific consumer data you give it.
Exactly. That's what leads to genuinely new product ideas, based on authentic, unfiltered consumer conversations, not just broad market trends pulled from the internet.
Okay, that clicks. Can you give us a concrete example? How would this prompt your data thing work in practice?
Sure. Let's take product innovation. Imagine a tool like the one from Insight Lab AI. You've fed it transcripts from interviews about, say, chocolate consumption.
Okay, chocolate. Always a good example.
Right. So the product innovator can literally prompt the system. Create one innovative, compelling, concise product concept that addresses one of the most relevant needs from these transcripts.
Mm-hmm.
And the system might come back with something like, introducing the Balance Bar, a chocolate bar designed for health-conscious consumers struggling with the guilt of indulgence, using insights X, Y, and Z from the interviews.
Wow. So it identifies the need and proposes a concept grounded in the actual consumer voice.
Precisely. And think about who can use this. It's not just the dedicated qual researcher anymore. Now, marketing people, product teams, even content developers can directly query the unfiltered consumer input themselves.
That really does shift insights out of the archives, out of static PowerPoint decks.
Well, into the day-to-day working life of the people who need them most. Marketing, product development, comms. It makes the consumer voice immediate and accessible.
That feels like a fundamental change in how companies can use qualitative data.
It really is. And these tools are becoming more like comprehensive workbenches.
Meaning
Meaning they don't just stop at qualitative analysis or product innovation. They might have modules for, say, CA search engine advertising, helping draft ad copy, based on consumer language, or for content writing.
Okay, so connecting insights directly to execution.
Exactly. Some can even scrape the content from a website link and then help generate new website content or Google Ads based on that specific content combined with the consumer insights.
That's pretty integrated.
Yeah, and they often include collaboration features so teams can share findings easily. And crucially, privacy features are built in, things like automatic anonymization of uploaded files. Plus, the option for users to opt out of having their data stored long-term, or, really importantly, used to train the provider's AI model. That's key for confidentiality.
Right, data privacy is paramount with this stuff. Okay, so bringing this all together, what's a big takeaway for our listeners, whether they're researchers, marketers, or just fascinated by consumer behavior?
Well, if you zoom out, connect it to the bigger picture. GenAI isn't just making the process of getting insights more efficient. It's potentially changing how organizations fundamentally connect with their customers. It makes that connection much more direct, much more real time.
So what really stands out here, maybe the thing for you to think about, is this shift, moving beyond seeing qualitative data as something you analyze after the fact in a report. Consider this. How might this ability to directly chat with your data, to interact with the authentic voice of your consumer almost instantly, how might that revolutionize not just product development, but pretty much every customer-facing decision a company makes? Think about those immediate feedback loops it could create, making organizations truly consumer-centric, maybe not just as a goal, but as a daily operational reality.